The last concept I want to talk about in this video series is differentiation and positioning. So, a product position is the place that a product occupies in the minds of consumers relative to other competitors in your industry. So, for example, is your product or brand considered the trendy one, the fashionable one, the cheap one, the innovative one, the convenient one, the best quality one in your product category? So positioning is not a physical location. It's actually the position in the minds of consumers that your product occupies in comparison to the position that other products in that product category occupy. Perceptual maps are an incredibly useful tool to determine whether or not or to determine how your product is positioned relative to the competition. So you could pick any two uh, relatively important variables that are important to your product category. Price and quality are two, but it doesn't have to be. It could be quality and convenience. It could be innovation and uh, uh, price. It could be any two variables that are important to your particular product category, and you create basically a map, a matrix, and you map yourself along with your competition based on where you are on the scale. Are you higher priced or lower priced than your competitors? Are you considered higher quality or lower quality? And once you start uh, placing little dots on this grid, this map that you've created, you can start to see which of your competitors are competing most closely with your positioning strategy and which ones are really competing quite differently or positioning themselves quite differently compared to you, at least in the minds of consumers. So here's an example of a positioning map, taking a look at price, and sort of luxury performance of luxury SUVs. And you can see that the green dots that represent Lincoln, Infiniti, and Cadillac are very closely overlaid. They are more directly in competition with each other. They're in less direct competition with, say, Toyota and Land Rover, which are on the right hand upper quadrant of the map. Toyota and Land Rover are very clearly competing with each other. So you can create these positioning maps for any product category, and they're actually very useful in helping you best understand who it is that you're really competing with and who kind of looks like they might be your competition, but in actual reality, once you look at the map, they're really not anywhere near where you are on the map when it comes to positioning. So differentiation and positioning strategy involves identifying ways in which you can be competitive, where you have an advantage over your competitors. If you can't articulate how you are different in a meaningful way, in a positive way than your competition, and more importantly, if your consumers can't identify ways in which you are better than your competitors, then you're in big trouble. So you need to figure out which competitive advantages you want to focus on. Is it going to be your price? Is it going to be your quality? Is it going to be convenience? Is it going to be taste? Is it going to be performance? Is it going to be technology? What is it that you're going to compete on? And you develop a positioning strategy based on the ways in which you can meaningfully be different than your competition. Identifying your competitive advantages, understanding customers' needs better than your competitors and delivering more value, um, figuring out what it is that your customers really want. What do they really value in products in your product category, and then delivering better value than your competitors do. Points of differentiation can occur anywhere in the entire customer experience, and we're going to see these are some of the different ways. This is a great exam question. These are some of the different ways you can differentiate yourself. Your product can be different in terms of the features, the performance, the style and design. You can make your product different in a meaningful way from other products in your product category that you're competing with. You can provide better services. You can be quicker, more convenient. You can be more cautious if that's something that your customers value. You can provide more individualized personal service. So that's a way you can provide a meaningful point of differentiation compared to your competition. That you provide better service. You can use different channels of distribution. You have different coverage in terms of where your product is available. In some cases, you want products to be available everywhere. If you're selling Coca-Cola, you want your product to be available absolutely as many places as humanly possible. But actually, for some brands and some companies, you want your product to be very exclusive. You don't want your product available everywhere. You want it to be an exclusive type of product. So the rate of coverage, again, depending on what product category you're in, can be a point of differentiation. The level of expertise of the people who are there uh, helping sell your product is a point of differentiation. And the channel performances. Amazon, for example, positions itself as a channel of distribution. You buy from us as a channel of distribution, and we can deliver the next day. And that's a performance indicator that many people value because they buy products from Amazon versus other online retailers simply because of that performance guarantee. You can differentiate in terms of the people that you hire, the way you train them, the culture in which these individuals work, and the overall morale of the people who are working there. And you can create an image differentiation that is not necessarily tangible, but it's tied to the branding and what your brand comes to mean in the minds of consumers. These are some really relevant and important differentiation strategies, and you should think about the ways in which each of these points of differentiation might be relevant to your business. If you're going to differentiate your product, remember that your differences have to be important to consumers. If your consumers don't care that you're different in a certain way, then it's not a point of differentiation. So for example, if I said, come to the UPEI School of Business, our classroom walls are painted a light green, unlike other business schools in the Atlantic provinces who paint their classroom walls white. I'm going to guess that most of you don't care that we're different in that way. I don't even know if that's true. My point is that it needs to be important. The way in which you're different has to be important. It has to be distinctive and not easily replicatable by your competition. You have to make yourself different than everyone else, and it has to be superior. You don't want to be different in an inferior way. You don't want to be considered of lower quality or lower. The way you're different is in a worse way. You want to be superior. You need to be able to communicate the ways that you're different. You need to be preemptive. You want to decide as a business how you want to be different. You don't want other people telling you how you're going to be different. You want to be proactive and preemptive in deciding exactly how you want to differentiate yourself. Your points of differentiation have to keep you affordable. Customers like different products that have different types of value, but if that difference makes the product unaffordable for your customers, then it doesn't make any sense. And also, you need to make some money off of it. If it's a way of being different but doesn't add to the bottom line of your organization, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to do it. This is just a mapping of the different ways you can differentiate and position yourself based on price and overall value or benefits derived. And this is just some examples of positioning statements that sort of very clearly target which audience you're going after, your brand, what is your value proposition, and what are your points of difference.